afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. And I hope you let us know by actually commenting below. This is Let's Talk Family Assistive Civility. I am Dr. Rebecca Finlayson Harper, and today I am honored to unite continents yet again. But today we are uniting Canada, Jamaica, and Nigeria with Dr. Christopher Imumolen. Dr. Chris is an academia, a motivational speaker, humanitarian, and serial entrepreneur. He is the president of Onshore and Offshore Oil and Gas Professional Association Nigeria. He's the founder of UNIC Foundation and CEO of Joint Professionals Training and Support International Limited, JPTS. He was nominated as the West African Secretary General for WA Renewable and Sustainable Practitioners, a board put together by the UN, United Nations, under the UN Framework for Climate Change Convention and the Addis Ababa 2017. He is the fourth most admired safety personality in Nigeria, and that is a really good acknowledgement, definitely. He was also appointed the Senior Technical Advisor to Nigeria government for the Akwa Ibom state on oil and gas matters. Under his humanitarian organization, the UNIC Foundation, a United Nations recognized NGO, he has given 100 of thousands of scholarships to the less privileged and widows through financial support for businesses. Amazing gender equality actions. In 2019, he's awarded over 2,000 scholarships to pupils of primary, nursery, and secondary schools to support parents in accessing quality education for their children. From 2012 to date, over 4,000 verifiable scholarships have been awarded and equally provided mentoring and startup capitals to hundreds of small-scale business owners in West Africa. Dr. Chris possesses 2 PhDs, not one, 2 PhDs, academic degrees, which are in engineering, research, and another educational management, and 3 master's degrees and a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I do not know where this man finds the time, because he's also the Africa Director of Accreditation Service for International Colleges and Universities, and he's the chairperson and president of the American Institute of Certified Professionals, and recently inducted as a World Presidential Civility Club for Change Nations. And amongst all of that, he is a proud father of 4 boys and a wonderful husband to Rachel. Boy, I mean, where do you find the time? And I want to welcome the wonderful Dr. Clyde Rivers. Thank you so much for watching. And he is saying that we are 2 world changers. I appreciate the compliment. Dr. Chris, how do you find the time? 3 masters, 2 PhDs, and a father of boys?
Okay. Quickly, I actually got the inspiration to study deeply because of my background. I grew up in Africa, and access to education is pretty difficult. But I promised myself that I was going to be educated, and when I had the opportunity to be educated, I went full length to get all that is required. Yeah, and even till now, I'm still studying hard. And I'm not just getting myself educated. Now we've been able to also set up colleges and institutes that spans across Africa and some other continents to also get those who are less privileged, who could not also have access to quality education, have same opportunity that we have gotten.
So you're saying education, and I agree, because this is what Nelson Mandela said and preached everywhere, that education is a true power. Nobody can take away your education. They can take away your material things. They can take away your house. They can even take away your freedom, but they cannot take away your education.
That is it. Yes, you are very correct.
Amazing.
Once you have education is a mental transformation that happens to every human being, and once you have that, the only thing that can take that away from you is death. Nothing else. You can be stripped off assets and every other thing, but once you're educated, you are mentally transformed beyond the certifications that you received, and that is a life asset. And that is basically one of the things we preach in Africa, that African leaders should look towards more of human capital development. Yes, we understand that we need asset development, we need to develop other part of the economy, but most important is the human capital development. Now the world is faced with the pandemic. What is left now is for every country, most especially Africa, which is one of the areas I have so much passion for because I am a typical black person, I'm a typical African,
Mhm.
is that Africans and every other person, government should look towards empowering its people, towards
Yes.
developing its people, because everything we build would be run by human. And if the human is not empowered, then how best do you run the economy? So this is part of what we clamor for and what we seek and what we pursue as Africans. Yeah.
And it's the same exact problem we have in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, is that even though we follow the English system, and we have very highly we have great education institutions, they all teach in one way. And if you do not fit the mold of how they teach, then you fall short of an education. And the
Yeah.
irony is, what I think the difference between developing and developed countries is their quality of education. And we brag about how we have the English system and our grades and we can read and write, but when you look at it, entrepreneurs think out of the box.
Yes. You
They're
are very
tactile
correct.
learners. They don't learn in the box.
Mm-mm. They
And
don't. Yeah.
it's quite phenomenal is that the education system, when you look into sociology and capitalism, it really was to teach people to work on a
Yeah.
front line and do
Mm-hmm.
the same thing every day
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
be oppressed.
Yeah, and that is why you see that world leaders usually do not get their training from the four walls of schools,
Hmm.
because when we talk about education, we talk about the formal system and the informal system.
Hmm.
So for us in Africa, I think our educational curriculum has been revisited, and we need to revisit it more so that it can actually suit what is needed for the African context, what
Hmm.
is needed to meet the African peculiar challenges. We
Hmm.
have our peculiar challenges, which basically it's is the capacity of the Africans to be able to by itself develop its own country. Someone said, he said Africans do not need charity. What we need is good leadership, and leadership is a function of the education.
Yes.
Education is not just certificate; it's the mental transformation of that being to a being that can function globally. Yeah. So
Yeah. The removal of oppression,
yes, yes.
that the
You just
that the
yeah.
regular citizen feels that they have the same privilege and
Hmm.
power, that they can stand up and say, I do not like this. This needs to change in my country and I am going to change it. Many
Yeah.
people, I mean, in Jamaica, if you don't like it, you leave, you migrate. And we have to stop doing that.
Well, that is so that is it, and the world needs to start looking at that as a member of I Change Nations and also a member of the World Presidential Civility Club. you know Education brings that mental transformation that makes you appreciate yourself, that makes you appreciate yourself as a human being first, and make you also see yourself as equal to every other being all over the world, and eliminate that mental supremacy that you have over every other color.
Hmm.
It's one way that we can actually live and live a fulfilled life.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we talk about slavery in the black, we talk about slavery in Jamaica and every other black world. Slavery in today's world is mental slavery, like one of the great singer from Jamaica said, Bob Marley. You
Free
know,
yourself
mental
from
slavery.
mental
Yeah,
slavery.
yeah, it's it. So we need to start seeing that there's help is not like Dr. Clark River, one of my great mentor would always say, help is not coming from anywhere. Every country have to design its own help mechanism because even after the pandemic, every country will be looking at how to survive its own country first. So
Yes.
every country that depends on foreign aid, that depends on foreign help, needs to start looking at local ways of solving this problem. And that is very, very important. That comes from capacity building. How well have we been able to institute policies and structure that can help to build every human being that is positioned in a particular country to be able to what identify its core problem and render solution to solving those problems. That is where we are, and that is the reality
And
of things.
this is why I have you on, because let's
Mhm.
talk family civility. Family civility is
Yeah.
empowering families to build sustainable nations, because it starts with the family. It
Yes.
starts with how are we going to help the families empower themselves. And I know I've been talking about the curriculum for the family civility workers. That is their main mandate, to go
Yeah.
into a household, find the strengths in the household and
Mm-hmm.
what they are strong at, meaning it could be anything that they're strong at. It could be, the mother in the family is an amazing baker or can
Wow.
make the best. I know some homes that make the best bread. We have a sweet potato pudding in Jamaica. I don't know if
Wow.
you have it in Nigeria, but
And yeah,
oh,
we have also.
I'm pretty sure it came from from our African heritage, the sweet potato pudding, and it's one of my most favorite things to eat in Jamaica. And we
Wow.
have homes that will say, "Okay, I'm going to make it and sell it in the community because she
Yes.
has the best one."
Wow.
You know what I mean? And this is it.
Mhm.
It goes back to looking into your community and saying, "Who does the best of everything?" And as you said, time is cost money.
Yeah.
So if I can save myself from making a bad sweet potato pudding compared
Mhm.
to my neighbor, and I can buy hers and support hers, I
Mhm.
can now use that time that I would take to make a pudding to do what I do best.
Wow. Yes.
And this is where the family, and going into the family and saying, what are your strengths? Even from the 7-year-old, what is, I mean, when I had my hydroponic garden, my children were, I mean, their Saturday morning was carrying grow bags. In fact, seeding the seedlings were better done by their hands. And they came and worked with us, and we sang and we made it a family affair. That's why my daughter called it the family garden, because we all gardened
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And this is where, unique, I love the unique empowerment and employment initiative. You
Yeah.
do concentrate on women and
Yeah.
mothers of
Mhm.
families, and so that means you literally employ the family. They create employment for themselves.
Yeah. So that is the structure to see how family can be empowered because the basic unit of every society starts from the family. And once a woman, especially a woman is empowered, we have the women angle that actually focus on empowering women. We believe that if you empower a woman, you empower the community, you empower the nation, because the woman is the carrier of a family. And for women themselves, they do not actually require so much to be empowered in this year because they are good managers. They can manage the little giving and produce it because women by nature they are producers, so they always give birth to
Yeah.
whatever little seed that is given, they multiply. So we have a model that is geared towards that, providing seeds, funds to women and helping them also duplicate this
Mm.
into more so that the family unit can sustain. In sub-Sahara alone, 60% of sub-Sahara Africa are small older farmers, and about 23% of the GDP of sub-Saharan Africans is from agric, is from farming. So that is very massive. So if we
Mm.
are going to be looking at a business model to really focus to support family, I think it should be farming, because one of the economic strength of Africa as a continent is agriculture. Africa by itself, if not for the fact that we I don't know, I don't want to go there because that is a little political. We are supposed to be leading the world in agriculture. We have one of the best viable lands, and our soil, our climate
Mm.
are so good. So I don't know why we are still lagging behind when it comes to producing farm. And I believe one of the reasons is the discovery of some mineral resources that is easier to process, that can bring more cash to Africa, just like Nigeria. We were doing so well in agriculture until the discovery of crude oil.
Yeah.
And once crude oil was discovered, we focus less on agriculture and focus more on crude oil. Now the crude oil price has crashed globally.
Yeah.
The economy of Nigeria is really, the budget is really, and we are now looking back to agriculture. For us as an NGO, we want to give priority to businesses in agriculture. My talk today on Facebook before now is basically to talk on farming and how we can support people in family, especially family units now. Because we look at the challenge that family units are faced with in establishing hydroponics, in establishing subsistence kind of farming. One of the
Yeah.
major challenge is um is access to capital. And if you look at Africa, many family farming business get their capital from family. They
Yeah.
raise funds from, yeah, from, because the truth is this: access to capital when it comes to agricultural bank is not easy over here. So they fall back to family members to what to raise funds to do that. But majorly is the knowledge, because farming itself has moved from the crude way which we do it to a more technical and technological way that require less stress but higher yield. So
Mhm.
what I see that is lacking here is to have experts who understand how these things is being done. For example, you talk about poultry, and you said birds can be. Maybe you. I'm supposed to be the one talking, but maybe you just share more light on that. Birds can be raised in 40. I don't know. You said something. I was like,
Oh,
wow.
oh, you mean yeah, chickens can be raised within 6 weeks of growing. Yeah. So yeah, you're kind of letting, yeah, so I do have a background in agriculture, hydroponics and building hydroponics for developing countries, because what happens is you, especially in Africa, you don't need a greenhouse because
Wow.
you don't have cold weather. You have
Yes.
hot weather, which your nursery gets affected, and you'll have torrential rains, which will beat down the plants. So you just need a hoop house to cover, to not stop the rain, but reduce the penetration of the rain to beat down. With
Yeah.
chickens in Jamaica, we have our own feed mills. I do have to, the company, there are two main companies in Jamaica, and they've done a fantastic job at empowering Jamaicans all over to where they're now producing more chickens than we eat, so we have to scale it back. um,
Wow.
but what has happened is that this is the beauty of it, is we grow chickens within 6 weeks, but there's a formula of feed, and the irony is we're importing the feed from America. But
Wow.
as you and I are discussing,
Mhm.
Nigeria has the land space
Yeah.
to do, the feed, because you have the land mass. Jamaica does not have enough land in the country to grow the corn that we need to feed our
We
chicken.
need, yeah.
So
So
this is, so in other words, I love the fact that you mentioned, Dr. Chris, that we have to now focus on ourselves and our countries and what we need, but it doesn't lose sight of, now we can take the time and do partnerships. And I again love the fact that you say yes, they have expats who have the knowledge, but what's been happening is the expats come in and they don't teach everything.
yeah.
And so what happens is they almost, and I hate to say it, and coming from a country that's very similar, where we rely a lot on aid and rely a lot on expat knowledge, they come in and almost make you dependent
Mm,
on them and their knowledge,
mm.
which has to stop. Better you send somebody to their university that they studied at and bring them back,
Yeah.
and these are the type of things. And that's why one of the reasons I developed the curriculum the way I did was that I'm there for 2 weeks, I train you for a year, and then you don't need me,
Oh,
right? You carry it on. I'm there just if you need me. And
yeah.
but it is to empower the country, because guess what? I cannot fully understand your culture because I never grew up in it. I
Yeah.
love when people, and they're, and I come from a country where everybody loved Jamaica, and they're like, "Oh, I'm Jamaican. I loved." Just because you're an ally of Jamaica doesn't make you Jamaica. Because there's a lot of, we'll smile to your face. There are whole heap of and this is it. That's what I've learned. There is, as you said, the informal education that happens. That if
Mhm.
you are not brought up in the culture, I'd be very presumptuous and very rude to say that I know African culture, like Nigerian culture, because even Nigerian culture is completely different to Ugandan drug culture.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
In Canada, it's like, oh, you're Caribbean. I grew up in Jamaica, and I don't know, Trinidad and Jamaica are not alike.
No, no, they are not, of course. Yeah,
And thank you, Samuel, for yes, thank you. We are great people. We are,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
because we are out of many people. Our actual national motto is out of many. No, yeah, out of many. Oh, out of many one people. Sorry, I'm thinking my book, because ironically, my book is called "Out of Many Families, One Nation," and it came from my
Oh,
motto.
okay.
Because I believe in that motto. We are definitely a mix up, and as we call, mix up and blender of all different
Yeah,
cultures, and I'm proud of that.
that is good.
And I think that's why we relate so much to so many different cultures, because we're a bit of everything, and we
Hmm.
take pride in that bit of everything. We don't belittle any other culture in the country.
Yeah, yeah, but that is good. In as much as we exhibit different culture, but I also think there is a cultural link between Jamaica, Nigeria, and Brazil. Even there is this belief we have in Nigeria that most Brazilians and Jamaica, because we have a group called the Yorubas in
Mm.
Nigeria that migrated from this place down to those part of the world, and that is why if you visit Lagos, you will notice that there's some things that are done in Brazil and Jamaica that also happens in Lagos.
Oh yes,
Yeah, yes, almost similar
your
kind of.
film industry is booming. By the way, I watch Netflix, and there's like millions of shows and film. I was just like, oh my gosh, your film industry is
Yeah,
booming.
you know, and that is one of the advantage of realizing ourselves, and that is one of the advantage of also not over or not over um, dependent on the government over here. If you check those industries in Nigeria and Africa that are doing so well, actually are industries that have to do with talent, most of
Yeah.
talent industries. So these guys have been able to discover that they can do it themselves, and they have by themselves work a lot. I'm not saying government is not supporting, but I think compared to other part of the world, is not as encouraging. But they've really made a mark. Our music industry in Nigeria is doing great well. Our movie industry is really doing well. And another industry we also need to look into is the farming and agricultural industry, because food is a necessity.
Yeah.
Everybody needs food, and there is this prediction that because of this global pandemic, in some part of the world there might be food shortage in the next season because most farmers have not been allowed to go home. And in this part of Africa, there's this also global prediction that some country might be hard hit with recession. So it's best time for us as an NGO to look at
Hmm.
how to structure family farming and how to make generate income by having a unit or more units of farming system that they can. I know you already told me about the system, how it's working, how each neighborhood can invest in
Each
a
other.
particular farming system and generate income. And you know what? That would also help to solve unemployment. Currently, we have over 40% unemployment rate. That is so massive, you know, and this can also help to reduce and to cushion that. And you know what that would do? That would also, to a long extent, help to reduce the pressure, the insecurity pressure in the country, because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And when these youth get engaged and they get the required knowledge, everybody needs food, everybody want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a population of 200 million. Our chicken is not enough, our products are not enough. People just need to understand how best to make this work. And I can tell you, Nigeria have a large population that we cannot produce even what we need. That is why we still depend, yes, largely on imported
Same,
goods from
same as in Jamaica. If I tell you the import on onion and the import, and I want to big up our Ministry of Agriculture because the civil servants that work there, they really look at our import volumes and say, okay, we need our farmers to start growing this. We need people to start growing this. What I And it was actually funny because I was writing something today and I had to bring up old projects that I worked on. And what we need is, again, we can give anybody chickens to grow, but if they do not have the empowerment within themselves, because remember,
yeah,
they have been oppressed.
yes,
Reason people are in poverty is not because they're lazy. It's not because they
mm,
uh, don't want to work. It's not because what it is. It's because they have been oppressed for so many years, whether it's by the government, whether it's by even their own family members, whether it's by
mhm,
teachers, lack of education.
yeah,
We have to look at the, and in 2018, the World Bank actually did a study and showed that the psychological mental health of
mm,
recipients affects what how they produce. Now,
yeah,
agriculture, as you said, is perfect for family because guess
mhm,
what? A mother can actually stay at home,
mhm,
farm, earn an income, so when their children come home from school, you can be there and take care of them. Any job you can do at home and be there and be a parent as well because presents are far more effective on children than presents,
yeah,
right? You being there is far more
mhm,
needed than buying things for your children.
yeah,
And this is, and it's, and I'm going to say it. I mean, Anana is saying it. Many factors cause positive poverty, but mindset is the biggest thing. And we blame, oh, it's, the mindset of the poor is because they're poor. But the oppression is there, and we have to say, no, everybody can succeed. As Dr. Rivers said, which
mhm,
I love, there's 7.8 billion people in this world, and they're
wow,
made in likeness of God. God does not make bad things. He is
yeah,
not a bad person. So if you're in his likeness, you are smart. You are
mhm,
inventive. It's just you're not fitting into the box that's in your country.
yes,
So we have to find what box. We have to eliminate the box, as Dr. River says. Throw away the
mm,
box and find how you can make your mark. And
yeah,
agriculture, I agree with you, is everybody has to eat. If you notice, all the essential services were food first. We have to eat. We have to eat.
mhm.
You know,
No,
yes,
that is,
yes, Anana, we have to do the women, and we have to recognize that a single mother parent home is the majority of households in the world, not
yeah,
nuclear households. So we have to change our laws and
mhm,
stop making that household feel that they are disadvantaged or they have, we can raise, as a single mom, I've raised 3 children
wow,
who are all succeeding, but I had to find ways to complement. I had to find male role models for my son. I had to find ways to send them on camps and socialize. And but never did I make them feel, oh, I'm sorry, you're a single parent home. Never did I make them feel that way. They
No,
should
I
never
think
feel
yeah,
bad about themselves.
yes, yes. I think the kind of support that women if have over there in other part of the world is quite different. We have traditions in Africa that have for long subject women majorly to some restrictions that cannot really help them to head their mind and live a fulfilled life. you know and I think first and foremost is, yeah, we believe things are changing. I think the African and its people leadership are beginning to know that African and women also could play a better role in nation building. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, women have been playing this role even before the colonial era. It's just that they've not been given that sense of recognition and belonging. Women have really played a lot of great role when it comes to economic building. As a matter of fact, women have been they have anchored trade when it comes to trading in Africa before even the colonial era and post-colonial era. They've been playing this great role. And when we talk about the mental, what's it called, the mental slavery and the psychological effect that leads to enclosement, because people are enclosed, they don't want to open up, and that leads
Hmm.
to poverty itself. And that is also part of self realization. Many persons have been so battered, they've been so oppressed, but it first needs to start with mentorship. We've seen a lot of persons that really want to go out to talk to people, they don't even know where to go to talk to. They
Hmm.
live in an environment where people around them oppress them. They live in an environment where they cannot share good idea. Once they give an idea, they say, "Oh, we can't work." That
Hmm.
idea would never
Yes.
work. Yeah, and immediately they give up. I often tell people that come across me is that no idea. Every idea have the ability to work. You just need to start it. You just need to test it. You just need a mentor or someone to speak to who can
Hmm.
believe in that idea. You know, because the truth is this: people who actually change the world are those that has crazy idea.
Yes, it's
Just,
true.
yeah. Look at today. We are talking on social platforms. 100 years before now, if anybody would have said, or a platform would exist that Dr. Rebecca will be talking to, no, people will say, no, it's crazy. It can never work. You cannot change the world except your idea is crazy. You must have that crazy. Yeah, so people over here, once they discuss an idea that looks crazy, people easily oppress them. So it's about oppressing idea now. Everything can work. So that if that can be reached, then people also could know that you can self-liberate yourself. You can do it. You can make it happen. Whatsoever ideas you have, you
Hmm.
can make it work. You don't need to be oppressed. Social oppression. We don't even need to go far to the leadership career. Social oppression now. And again, I also talk to people about religious. We also have a way that religious in Africa have helped to also, or as is it help as really also caged Africans and the black from doing what they need to do to achieve success. I personally believe so much in prayers, but I also believe that we also need to take practical steps to achieve success. You
Yes.
know, African continent is the most religious continent when it comes to praying and the rest, but yet is still the most underdeveloped continent when it comes to globalization and other things.
But
So it's
Jamaica, yeah, Jamaica is in the World Book of Guinness Book of Records for most churches per capita.
you see,
Right? Yeah, we
yeah.
are. And it's,
So,
but you see, again, the religion, and now we're kind of going off a topic when it comes to
yeah,
entrepreneurship
no,
in a way. But this religion was the main tool of colonization.
mm,
So religion, not spirituality. It is
okay,
religion.
so
It's religion that taught women are second and men are head.
mm,
It's religion that has everything you said when it came to oppression. It is colonization. Because when you look at the cultures of colonization, which is the British culture, it's the English, right? And the French and those colonization, when you look at their culture, women were sold to marry. They didn't have a say. If you were born to a wealthy father and that father had no sons, then you would literally be sold. And then you would have to, like, if you owned property, you'd be sold to the colonies too. You'd have to move there with your husband. And you would be sold to second and third sons who had no money. I mean, it really is, you know, a situation where we have to come away and going back, Bob Marley said it, the mental slavery. But it's, you know, it's really funny. It's I think what has happened is colonization has happened, but the people have blended.
Hmm.
So it's not about color anymore, it's about culture.
Yeah.
And
So,
you're perfectly right. It is a situation where we have to look at the education system. And I want,
mhm,
again, Jamaica has just revamped their education system. In fact, studies that show every country could change their educational system every 10 years.
you
And
know,
Jamaica did it within the 10 years. And they changed to a thing called PEP, because what they were realizing is that our countries are being used for technology and call centers, and our students aren't being taught to think on their feet. They're being taught to work in a factory, which is what the English system is. You're supposed to be a factory
mhm,
worker because the education was developed during industrialization in England,
okay,
right? So what happens is, so we've changed our complete education system, and I am very proud of my Ministry of Education in Jamaica. And
yeah,
you know, we actually had a whole show on what they did for COVID-19 last Thursday, and what they went into full mode of COVID. Like, every child is not being left behind. There's not one child being left behind in Jamaica right now. And this is what we're saying is that we have to come out of the colonization. We have
yeah,
to now look at the traditional cultures. What were the tribes doing in Africa, right? And go back to community,
mhm,
go back to spirituality. I know in Canada, when you look at the indigenous people of Canada, women were very prominent in their circle. Women
mhm,
were very prominent in their community. They were leaders. And if you study certain African tribes, same thing in
yeah,
communities.
of course, of course. So we really need to trace back to our roots to actually understand who we are. If for us to understand who we are, we need to first go back to where we started from before cultural transformation or intrusion. You know,
Yeah,
now we now have our culture diluted with so many other cultural immigration, and it has affected us to know who we are and how the family setting was before the colonial time and what we now have it. Yeah, so going back to the topic, which is family farming, I think one of the
right.
best.
So Samuel,
Yeah.
Samuel, and he has a great comment. It's a bit long, so I can't show it all. But it said agriculture has to be focused now after health sector because the lockdown has affected farming. Farmers can't farm large because they can't transport to the market. This is going to lead to a shortage of food soon post COVID. And it's a wonderful contribution, Samuel, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why.
Mhm.
He's Dr. Chris is smiling because he knows exactly what I'm going to say. So with the hydroponics project that I did in my own community in Jamaica, I lived in a community that was actually surrounded by poverty, um, and because it was in a rural part of Saint Andrew. And I said, no, we can use agriculture to bring. We just need the technology. Hydroponics uses one third less water than an
Hmm.
acre of land.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I was growing 600 heads of lettuce a week on 1,500 square feet.
Wow.
Number three, I was 5 minutes away from the supermarkets that I needed to deliver
Yeah.
to.
You see?
Now we go to the chickens. You calculate how many chickens you eat in a community,
Yeah.
and then you decide in the community how who's going to grow these chickens. And if you need 500 chickens a week or 600 chickens a week, then you can actually have 12 people. Yeah, I'm doing the math right off my head. But
Yeah.
you design how many people depending on how many chickens you give them to a week and how long they grow, and that is where you empower the family.
Yeah.
You are perfectly right. We have to go shorter community, less transportation, because you're
Yeah.
saving, I hate to say this, gas and oil, but
No, no, that is it. Yeah.
it has to go back to our communities, go back to fulfilling our communities, fulfilling our family, and again, growing what you eat and eat what you grow.
Yes. Yeah. And in that way, we talk about the global hunger index, and in Africa, I was looking at that, and I discovered that Central Africa has the highest, which is called at 53.6, which is
Mm-hmm.
extremely alarming. And I looked at Nigeria. Nigeria scored 27.9, which is 93rd out of 117 qualifying countries. And South Africa scored 59, which is 14, and they are moderate when it comes to global hunger index. So I try to know what are they doing better than every other
Yes.
African country. Is actually the model that you just analyzed. Yes,
Yes.
ensuring that the statistics of need is estimated, and that is produced nearby. So you eliminate transportation like gas, and they get these products good, fresh, and better. And you also might also reduce stocking and storing, because you don't need so much um, silos or so much storage facilities, because
Yes.
you are producing for immediate consumption. So
Yes.
these are some of the model that we need to seriously look into. Like I tell people, that it's good we talk, it's good we share ideas, but implementation on how this can work quickly is the best. In Africa today, the poverty ratio is high, and it's my
Mm-hmm.
major concern. And sometimes when I take 3 square meal, I think about those who cannot eat. Yes, I can afford to eat 3 times a day, but there are so many people in Africa who cannot afford to eat 3 square meal. For me, it's a big concern. For me, I think about them. And one of the ways is not just to keep giving aid to the people,
Yeah.
but to also teach them how they can make livelihood. And the easiest way is family, developing a simple model like what you have done, and teaching, mentoring, monitoring, supporting these persons to make livelihood from it. It will go a long way to
Mm-hmm.
help. And when that eventually happens, then Africa can now choose the right leader for themselves. Because when there is poverty and hunger, people do not have the mind to think. That is the truth. Any so they don't think, because when you are poor, when you've not eaten, that is the first basic need of man, food. When food is not there, you accept everything. You cannot even realize yourself. You don't even have a dream.
Yeah.
So for those who have a dream, the first thing is they need to be self-fulfilled when it comes to feeding. So we need to go back to that intrinsic part of the society, which is the family. We need to provide training
Mm-hmm.
for them in this format. It's so easy and it's so simple, but they just need to get it right. And once that is what that is done, I think we then can begin to see Africa in a better light, and Africa can begin to galvanize itself better for its own people. Not just I'm sorry that I'm talking about Africa, but I think I
Yes,
cannot
I've
take it
been
away
very good at not doing that. Okay?
Yeah, right here. So, and you know what that would do? That would have really reduced so much burden from the the African Union, from the African the government. The people, it's called total economic liberation, financial liberation.
Mhm.
That is what's going to happen. So for us, we have been able to identify what's it called farm produce that are mostly needed first in community. We
Mhm.
know those specific products and crops that communities and farmers should go into based on the location they are and the need that is needed in that particular
Yeah,
community. And with that, we can design a system for each community. And one of the
exactly.
things we also
And
have,
you've hit the
yeah,
nail on the head. It is each community is going to be different. We cannot do this on a national level. We can't say,
yeah,
okay, we're going to give every community cassava.
no, no,
When
no,
not
no, no,
every community eats cassava.
yeah,
And I'm going back. This is what the family civility worker will be doing. They go
mhm,
into not only the community but the house and say, "What do you eat? What statistics?" I'm going to bring up something. It is the Social Progress Index of 2019, and I know
wow,
it's very small, but you you rate very well. You're actually in the 60% ratio of nutrition and basic medical care in Nigeria. Water
wow,
and sanitation, you score 43%.
wow,
Shelter, you score 43%. Personal safety, 52%. Access to basic knowledge, you're at 52%.
mhm,
Access to information and communication, 55%. Health and wellness, you're at 53%. Environmental quality, 68%.
mhm,
Personal rights, you're at 77%. You're
wow,
72nd in the world.
wow.
Personal freedom and choice, you're at 35%.
Oh, okay.
Inclusiveness, 30%. And advanced education and access, which is what you were saying earlier, access to advanced education, 16%.
16%.
16. You're ranked
Wow,
101.
that is terrible. And let me say this because I'm an academia and I'm also the African director for Accreditation Service for International College and University in the UK for Africa.
Mhm.
And oftentimes I've realized this is a big challenge because we are talking about farming, so I don't want to dive into education, you know. So I want to
We're talking about farming, but farming is education. This is the whole joke about it. Farming is education. Oh, we have a frozen. We have a
migration
yeah.
to Canada, to US, and to so many other countries. And we have so much advocate to our government and other agencies in Nigeria that this is the way out. Nigeria need to open up its economy. Nigeria need to adopt global best practice when it comes to education. Nigeria need to open up online mode of study. I listened to your presentation with the Jamaican Ministry of Education, where she spoke about how all the children now have access to different stations and how they were able to cut down the fees of subscription. No, those are kind of incentives that should be given to education if we really want to develop.
Oh my. We unfortunately lost Dr. Chris. Oh, this is so sad. Um, we can wait. I mean, we're coming to the end of the show. If you have anything to say and keep us posted while he comes on, we have to, because he was saying such amazing things. But yes, agriculture. What we were discussing today is the easiest low. In fact, I don't say it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's actually fruit on the ground that is perfectly good to eat. Is agriculture to empower a family, because agriculture not only feeds, it quotes to the sustainable development goals of zero poverty, zero hunger, no poverty, zero hunger, entrepreneurship. It actually allows the family to be, oh, thank you, Sam. He's coming back soon. It allows the family to be at home and be a parent. I know I'm very grateful for these times where I am working from home and I'm able to, make sure that the children are doing what they need to do. I know Sam. He's an amazing man. I just want to show this one. I trust him. It really is. It's part of it. It's what it is, and this is a beautiful thing about it is that agriculture is very close to and dear to my heart. My father was a goat farmer, and I grew up around farms. I grew up around goats and animals, and I love all animals. And he never actually he never really liked butchering. He only liked to breed them. And he used to empower. I used to see how he would even give goats away to young farmers to bring their herd up, or he would tell a young farmer to bring their ewes to him, and he would get his boars to his males to sire them, so that they could bring their herd up. And I saw all of that happen, and how my father was able to empower families. Oh, Dr. Chris is back. Yes, Dr. Chris. Wait.
Yeah. You just mentioned 16% education and access to information, 53%.
Yes.
I think, yeah, those are great statistics, and they are also statistics that also gives great concern, especially for quality education. For me,
Yeah.
as an advocate of capacity development and education quality, you know, it's a very big concern for us in Nigeria and Africa. It's high time that we need to start working to help, not just rely only on government help, civil society group, international individuals like you, who could also come in and look at ways to. There are so many opportunities in education. Do you believe that in Nigeria we have so many persons who have left college and waiting on the line because we have a system that is I've not seen such system in any other country where once you are done with your higher education, there's a central board that regulates those that gain admission into different colleges. That has restricted a lot of person access into college education and degree education in Nigeria. And these are so many reasons why many blacks still find it difficult to compete favorably in the international market
Mm,
because of this delay and lag time in their career. Until that is looked at critically, we might still suffer this. And I think all countries now need to start working on um, extra border what's it called decisions to know that
mhm.
whatever decision you take in your country likely would affect your citizen not just in that country but globally. So if you take some decision in terms of education, it's also going to affect the way the citizen will function globally because it's about global competition, it's about global market. There is no more border again. Look at what happened in coronavirus. A disease that happened in China, Wuhan, is now affected every country. So where is the border? There's no border. If a disease can start in Wuhan and within 3 months the whole world is affected, it means that your educational system also there's no border in every policy. There's no agricultural, so everything you do
Yes.
must be set based on global standard.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would have disadvantaged your people. You would have disenfranchised them from global opportunities. That is where the world is. And for farming, the same thing. Africa needs to start to get its place in world food. We are supposed to be the continent that's supposed to be providing food for the whole world. Yes, that
Yeah.
is how it should be. That was what. But we at a time we lost it, and the reasons is not far fetched. Is based on some of the things that we have discussed here. But we need to wait for things to get better? No, we can make it get better. We can create the system to happen.
Yeah.
That
And
is what we are doing now.
the thing is looking at technology. And you said it
Yeah.
earlier. It's getting,
Yeah.
you grow chickens in 12 weeks or 8 weeks. In Jamaica, we'd grow chickens in 6. With my hydroponics, I was having lettuce within 4 weeks,
Hmm.
right? And a full head of lettuce for 4 weeks. I was having the culinary herbs in 4 weeks. So these are the type of things, and you see, this is where the youth get involved. I remember going on a project in now it's the largest. domestic agricultural land in the Caribbean and it's in Jamaica, right? But hardly any water. The soil is clay. And I watched a man for 2 hours getting water for his plot of land. 2 hours, just to get a barrel of water to water his land. And I was like, and I spoke to his son. He says, I'm not going into this. Why am I going into this? I know there's a better way. And this is where the problem is. The technology, the youth know there's an easier and faster way to farm.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could bring the technology and teach how to use it and maintain it, because here's another thing: many expats bring the technology to the country, but they don't teach you how to maintain it. They don't teach it, or it's not, or it's Canadian technology that deals with winter, like a
Yeah.
greenhouse. You know how many farmers farm outside of the greenhouse in Jamaica because they're like, it's too hot for a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Crops burn it up.
Hmm.
So better we use mines in Nigeria to figure out the problem, because you know that April 1st your crops are going to burn up, because that's when your temperatures hike up. It takes
Yeah.
1 day to go from winter to summer.
Mhm.
I know that happened to me in Jamaica. That's why on April
So,
1st I was like, wow! I lost my entire nursery because I forgot to put on the shade cloth on May on
wow.
March.
So you can see farming is I'm not an expert in farming. Farming is very intrinsic.
Yeah.
We just believe we go into farming and you just till the ground and you put the seed and you water it. It's far more than that.
Mm-mm.
So for someone like you who has got a lot of experience in farming and so much knowledge, and we would want to really look at working together to make this work, especially for Nigerian family units. I'm so concerned about family units and how to help family establish farming businesses that can earn them a living and reduce the national pressure of unemployment, the insecurity issues that we have in the far north, you know, and it's going to go a long way because it will really do so much good. And this is where I want to also contribute a little, as we have been doing in NGO. This is where I want to diversify and focus immediately after the pandemic. Or
Mm-hmm.
even we've started already. Today I announced on my Facebook
Yes.
of some persons that, yeah, and by this week we should be meeting with them, taking them. Yeah, those are personal
Mm-hmm.
effort to see how to help, because that is the passion. Like I said to someone today, I said, um, we have I see a lot of people build structures. I see a lot of people build houses and the rest of it. It's very great to do that. But I'm more concerned about those who do not really have and who do not know how to assess some of these things. So we will be looking at this and how we can work together to achieve this. Somebody just drop a very lengthy
Oh yes, it would
comment.
be. Yeah, it will. It'll be catch. It's a cat. Yeah, Jamaica and other countries have warm weather, and the virus is not rampant, but that's not proven yet. But however, if you eat properly and your immune system is strong, you have chances of getting it far less, and that's true. I mean, we have to look at the genetics of this thing, because there are people who are carriers. They're aged. Children, teenagers aren't getting it. There's so much. I feel when it comes to the virus, there's so much that is being hidden from us, and
Yeah.
information, or they don't know, they genuine. But agriculture is the most important, because as you said, as the person is saying, it's a very long one, so I can't post it. But what it's saying is that even the quality of food that we produce can help us against viruses, because for
Yeah.
example, in the hydroponics, it was all organic farming. I did
Wow.
not use pesticides at all, no pesticides. And
Wow.
even the fertilizer, I personally mixed myself. I did not buy ready mixed fertilizer. So I knew exactly what was going into the plants and what we would be eating from the plants. So,
Wow.
Dr. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. And yes, you have my full support when it comes
Yeah.
to your work in Nigeria. When the restrictions are lifted, Nigeria is one of my first countries I'm coming to, because we've
Yeah.
so much about chicken farming and hydroponics and empowering families through agriculture.
Yeah.
Keep up the amazing work you are doing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on the show. This is Let's Talk Family Civility. I had Dr. Christopher Imumolen,
More, yeah.
and you can catch him on Facebook. He had a great talk today about how you can get involved in family agriculture, and you can text him and message him about it. And you know, I'm Dr. Rebecca Finlayson Harper. You can also message me about family civility and becoming a family civility worker. Have a great day and be safe and healthy.
Yeah.
Best regards with civility. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.